This video is going to talk about how to be successful in using cane drone reeds. You hear many pipers talk about the woes of cane drone reeds and how they're difficult to work with and use, and this is certainly true to an extent. Compared to synthetic reeds, cane drone reeds do take a little more maintenance, and they also require some extra knowledge. So that's what this video is about. We're going to talk about setting the reeds in your pipes. There's a couple key aspects there. Working with the bridle. There's another video on the site dealing with how to get the tongues working if the reeds are not sounding. So be sure to check that out. But basically, in a nutshell, cane drone reeds are not all that difficult to work with. The main requirement, if you're going to try to use them, is that you play regularly. Once they get going, they need to be kept in a very stable environment. You want to keep a consistent amount of moisture in them so that they don't change too much. When cane drone reeds dry out or get excessively wet, this can wreak havoc with your tuning and the stability of your bagpipe. So that's the main thing that people need to know about when they want to use cane drone reeds, is just play them regularly. And when I say regularly, I'm talking 10 to 15 minutes a day just to get some moisture into them. You could skip a day here and there, but you really should play every single day with cane drone reeds, which is good for your piping too, and your bagpipe. So the first thing I want to talk about is how to put the reeds in your reed seats. With synthetic reeds, most of the time a piper will take it, pretend this is a synthetic reed for a moment. They'll push on the top of the reed in order to seat it in the reed seat. This can work fine with synthetic reeds, but it's not recommended for cane reeds. The reason for that is the body itself will flex if you press on the top, and this could cause the tip of the tongue to come in contact with the body and stop the reed. So the way to properly insert a cane drone reed into a bass drone, in this case, set it in and grab it behind the bridle, right here at the bridle, and push. And that will be enough pressure to seat that in if you have it hemped up properly to fit your reed seat. So that's the first step. Try very hard to avoid pushing from the end, because like I said, it can cause the body to flex and catch the tongue. There's another video, as I mentioned before, on how to get the tongues vibrating if they're not. A proper cane drone reed, you should be able to see a little bit of distance between the tongue and the body. And that's what creates the sound. If the tongue is like this, and you don't see any opening or space, then it's not going to sound for you. And in that case, defer to the other video on how to get the tongues working properly. There's 3 excellent techniques there to guarantee that you'll be able to get your reeds working. As far as other setup methods, with cane reeds, you basically have the same kind of adjustments that you have with synthetic reeds. Obviously, you can add or remove hemp to the bottom of the reed to seat it deeper into the reed seat or more shallow into the reed seat. The deeper you go, the sharper the pitch is going to be, and the higher your drones will tune on the pins, and the reverse is true. The more shallow you have it set, the flatter it's going to be, and the farther down the pins it will tune. Also, you have the bridle. The bridle can be slid down the reed, which effectively shortens the length of the tongue that's vibrating. This will make the reed sharper, thus you'll be tuning higher up on the pins to compensate. Or you can move the bridle down the reed this way to lengthen the tongue, which will make the reed flatter. Another little trick that old-time pipers used to use to make a reed flat, if you have a reed that's excessively sharp, one of the things you can do is add beeswax to the top of the tongue. Just simply take some beeswax. See if I have any here. I don't have any handy, but you would take beeswax, take a chunk off, maybe the size of an aspirin, roll it up into a ball, and place it on the very top of the tongue, right up here near the tip. Be careful not to get any of the wax underneath the bed, and just smash it down on top there, holding it a little bit with your finger. It'll warm up the wax and cause it to flatten down. What that does is it adds weight to the tongue, which will flatten it quite a bit. So it's the same as if you anytime you make the tongue heavier, it's going to vibrate slower. So that's what you're doing, and that can make a reed quite a bit flatter. If you need your reed to be quite a bit sharper, it's perfectly acceptable. I mean, if you've already tried adjusting the bridle to make the tongue shorter, it's perfectly acceptable with cane reeds to cut off the back end of the reed and make the entire reed shorter. And then, of course, you would have to rehemp that section, but that would make the reed shorter and thus sharper. So there's quite a bit of adjustment. It's not like you're stuck with whatever you get. When you get cane reeds, there's plenty of ways to go about adjusting things. If you just take a little bit of time and understand how reeds work, understand the fundamentals behind them, they're all basically the same. They all work in the same ways. So that's basically the whole story when it comes to cane reeds. Once you get them set up in your pipes and they're playing at the pitch that you desire by the various methods I just discussed on how to adjust pitch, when you seat them properly by grabbing them in this section instead of pushing, that's going to improve things for you. And basically just playing every day. That's the main key when it comes to playing with cane, is you want to keep them very consistent, the same environment all the time. One other little tip that I'll discuss about cane drone reeds: if you play a bag, most people that are playing cane might be playing a sheepskin bag or some kind of hide bag rather than synthetics, just because you get a little bit more moisture into the cane. And oftentimes these bags don't have zippers. So one thing you can do is leave a tail on your hemp. So say you were hemping up your reed to get ready to play. You would leave a tail like this. This is your lifeline for the reed. You put this on the tenon. Now when that is inserted into the stock, if that reed should come loose and drop out, it's not going to fall into the bag. It'll be hanging there. So when you pull the drone out, you'll have your reed attached, and you won't have to worry about trying to fish it out of a hide bag with no zipper. So those are just a few little tips and tricks that you can use with cane reeds. And again, just play them on a regular basis and you'll be very happy. Thank you.